Okay guys, I'm picking up on page 288, working with an analyzer and the graphic EQ. So we've got this video that we're working on, and we've doubled a track here of these girls that are stomping and clapping. There's a lot of room noise that you can hear, so we're going to definitely use the EQ to clean this up. So you've already worked with the EQ presets earlier in this lesson. What if there isn't a track preset that optimizes the frequencies you need? Since there isn't a preset for an a cappella hip-hop dance on cushioned floor, you'll have to create your own or modify an existing preset as needed. For this exercise, you'll do the latter. How do you know what frequencies you need to boost or reduce? Use the built-in analyzer. First, you'll solo the track and use the analyzer to see the frequency curve for the track. Then you'll use the graphic EQ to boost the frequencies that enhance the stops and claps. Number 1, select the doubled audio track. If it's not already selected, then press B to display the Smart Control pane and press Y to show the library. Move and resize the movie window as needed so that you can see the Smart Controls pane. Alright, so doubled audio is highlighted there. Smart Controls and Library. Moving this over so that I can see everything. Number 2, in the Smart Controls menu, click the EQ button. If you look at the library, you'll see that the natural voice patch has already been applied to the track. Let's check it out. There it is. Natural voice has already been applied. Let's solo the doubled audio track so it will be easier to hear the changes in the EQ as you make them. Also, this is a good time to turn on cycle mode so that you can continuously hear the dance sounds while you experiment with the EQ. So, soloing, turning on cycle mode. Yeah, there we go. Number 3, press S to solo the doubled audio track. Press C to turn on the cycle mode. You should see the cycle area from 5 seconds to around 50 seconds. If for some reason you don't already have one of that length, create it now. And the length of the cycled area doesn't need to be precise. It just has to be long enough to cover the majority of the dance. And now all we have to do is figure out which frequencies need adjusting in the graphic EQ. Luckily, the analyzer can show us. So start playback in the lower left corner of the graphic EQ display. Click the analyzer button. The analyzer displays the frequency curve for the selected track. The light blue shaded areas in the EQ show the frequency curve applied to the track by the natural voice patch. If you watch the live frequency curve from the analyzer, you see that it conforms to the frequency boundaries imposed by the natural voice patch. The analyzer shows frequency activity between 100 and 500 Hz every time the girls stomp, and around 5,000 Hz or 5K for the claps. Number 5, in the graphic EQ display, hover the point over the 200 Hz range. The area becomes shaded yellow and the yellow control point appears in the middle. Right there. Drag the yellow EQ handle point down to hear what happens when you remove the 200 Hz frequencies. The stops are barely audible. Drag the yellow handle up to around 20 Hz on the graph. Okay. Drag it left and right between 100 Hz and 500 Hz to hear which range works best for the stomps. It says toggle the EQ power button on and off as needed to hear the track with and without the modified EQ. Once you are satisfied with your improvements in the stomps, it's time to fix the claps. Well, let me go ahead and find what I like personally. For me and the speakers I'm using right now, that sounds about right. That's at about, I don't know, 180 hertz. 170 hertz is what I see here. 170. Number 7, hover between 2K and 5K. The area becomes shaded blue at the bottom of the EQ display. The exact frequency the handle is set to that it is set to appears, and that's the 25,000 kilohertz. Drag the blue handle down to remove the frequency, then up and right until you find what sounds best for the claps. All right. Okay, I think I personally like it right there at about 3,800 hertz or 38 kilohertz. Page 291, it says click the Smart Control Inspector button, I, if the inspector is not showing. Toggle the EQ power button on and off to hear the difference you've made to the EQ, and feel free to experiment with the graphic EQ before moving on to the next step. If you want to reset the EQ, choose Recall Default from the EQ Preset pop-up menu. All right, I'm going to go ahead and toggle on and off, and let's hear what it sounds like. That's off. That's on. Definitely accentuated the stomps here and the claps here. Number 9, press C to turn off cycle mode. Click the analyzer button to turn it off. Unsolo the double audio track and unmute the bottom 2 tracks. Play the end of the performance to hear the last 2 tracks. See if you can guess what sound was used for the region in the Guitar 1 track. So take off the cycle, turn off the analyzer, unsolo, and let's listen here. I'm sorry, I didn't have that unmuted. So let me take that off of unmute and do it again. Here we go. The guitar track region is actually just the impact sound of Lauren and Brooke's feet when they landed on their spectacular backflips at the end of the performance. I copied and pasted that part of the region into a guitar track so I could add some echo, reverb, and other guitar sound effects. The final track is my daughter saying awesome from her wah kazoo recording session. I added plenty of electric guitar and amp effects to modify her voice. The final step is to add an EQ effect preset to the master track. You don't even have to display the master track in the timeline. Number 10, in the Smart Controls Inspector, click the Master button. That's right there. In the library, choose a factory preset for master track. Feel free to experiment with the different presets or the output controls in the Smart Controls. When you're finished, solo the top track to hear the original sound with no effects. Then unsolo the track to hear your finished version. If you'd like to hear my finished version of the project, you can open up 8 for EQ effect finished. So let's go ahead and select something here for this master. We got that. I'm going to come down here to mastering. I'm going to go to dance. Let's listen to this now. All right, go ahead and save this project. Make sure you save it as last name, then .lesson8, and then get that uploaded into Blackboard. You do not have to do the bonus exercises in this, and you guys are done with Lesson 8.